Hello, my name is Zaphenath-Paneah and I'm from Bloemfontein in South Africa. I've developed a model called Zaphenath-Paneah. Zaphenath-Paneah refers to the name that Pharaoh gave Joseph when he was serving under Pharaoh. And in its most basic meaning, it basically entails decoding the code. So Pharaoh had the code, which was the 2 dreams he got from God, and Joseph decoded the code. Or the codes then, and both dreams meaning the same thing, and that is that there would be 7 years of prosperity and 7 years of famine. What's very important about decoding the code is that God actually encoded all of us in very many different ways, and in our relationship with God it is imperative to understand what tools God used in order to encode us, and also to go further from that and say, yes, it is my responsibility to find those tools, to apply those tools, and to decode my own code. God is the writer of the code. It is our responsibility to decode it. It's basically working like the Enigma that the Germans used during the Second World War. That was an encoding system whereby you needed not only the small little box, whereas all information that they wanted to keep secret, they encoded, but you also needed a manual, whereas you set all the routers and the different facets of the Enigma in order to determine what was the real message sent. So on the one side they encoded the message, they needed an Enigma and a manual, and on the other side the people that got the message also need an Enigma and they needed a manual. So for many years the people working against Germany, like America and so on, the Allies had massive difficulty to decode the code of the Enigma. Why? Because it was a very broad and deep system of very massive complexities and detail and so forth. So they had only but partial success up and until they found a German U-boat, whereas they actually discovered in the U-boat an Enigma with a manual, and henceforth they could easily decode all the codes of Germany, and that basically swung the war. Now, in our relationship with God and as children of God, we're also in a state of war, whether we like it or not. For us, we must now then learn to decode our codes in order to first understand our calling, our sense of meaning. It was found in research that most people that are alcoholics or are drug addicts, people suffering from a lack of sense of meaning. So in decoding your code, you can discover your sense of meaning. And in discovering your sense of meaning, henceforth it is easy to know what you should apply your energies and your strengths and weaknesses, and how you should apply them, how you can basically underpin your weaknesses and build on your strengths. It is as important to understand that the model I developed was developed mainly to assist people to decode their codes. Not only on a secular basis, but more so on a spiritual basis also. So it's imperative to understand that in decoding your code secularly and spiritually, one can then go forth in understanding through this process what your talents and gifts and strengths are. You can then see in what kind of business or industry you can get involved in order to make sure that your strengths are used in such a way to optimize your income and to ensure a very good livelihood for you and for your family. It is imperative to find out more information with regards to this, as it is quite a complex and yet very simple model of decoding your code, deciphering who God really intended you to be, and then applying it in such a way and within a structure that can all but guarantee the outcome. Please feel free to contact me at 082 4321 287 082-4321-287. And lastly, I just want to note the basis of this code, the basis of this process of decoding your code, the basis of everything is the 10 Commandments of God, which is God's primary contract with people like you and me. In understanding that and in using it as a basis for my model, from which I then worked with the Dewey systems, 10 human intelligences and so forth, I further then developed this model, and the benefits is ample on individual, family, government, spiritual and civil governance levels. We're waiting to hear from you. Thank you. Goodbye.